Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before we get going, if you want to join the Patreon, go to daixrp.com. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below any of my YouTube videos. Today we're going to talk about the dark side of digital assets, which I think hopefully we've avoided, but I saw something that I wanted to show you that I usually can't cover out here anyway. Also, we're going to talk about XRP patterns that some people see repeating. We'll get to all that. I wanted to show you this. This is Jake Boyle from Caleb and Brown on stage at XRP Las Vegas last year. Listen to this. It's important because this market is heating back up right now. XRP is back up to about 221. It went down a little bit this morning, but now it's acting like it wants to get going.
In a brokerage.
Yeah, so I think the number one point of difference for us is just the customer support element. I think one of the things I hate the most about the crypto industry is when things get dicey, when the market starts to really move, you get really excited. Like when Bitcoin hit 70K, a lot of Bitcoin investors thinking, damn, the time has come. And the worst thing that can happen there is you log into your account, oh, you can't log in right now. Oh, you contact the support ticket, no one replies. And you're thinking, is this an FTX situation? Like what's actually happening here? So the number one point of difference for us is make sure that you're reliable. How do you do that? Old school business, email, phone, meet people face to face. So, Sam and our team is here in the crowd and he's been back-to-back meeting customers all throughout his time in Vegas. Right. We've got staff who have been in Dallas recently, catching up with clients all around the world. Because if you invest into the clients and make it a personalized experience, you get that barrier of trust over the line, which in a cryptocurrency space, I think trust is something that people take for granted.
Okay, that's huge, folks. Now's the time to position yourself, if you haven't already, to have that personal relationship, institutional grade custody, so that you can sleep at night. I did it. If you want to do it, I made it simple. XRPwealth589.com will forward you to my page here on Caleb and Brown. Click the sign up today button. Now, something else on XRP Las Vegas. I wanted to highlight this. XRP Ledger builders and developers pitch at the first ever XRP Las Vegas Shark Tank, $25,000 in total prizes. This is being done by the guys at EZA, which is Dom and Phil, the brothers. Everyone who applies to the pitch competition will also get 25% discount on XRP Las Vegas tickets. You can register, I put the link there, or you can just go to it's EZA.io and then scroll down and you'll see this, and then there's a page for it. So there it is, XRP Las Vegas Shark Tank. And here we are, folks. The market's back up to 2.93 trillion. And XRP is making its way back on up at 222 right now. Look at this U.S. tariff. This is what it's all about, folks. U.S. tariff revenue rises 60% to $15 billion in April, a new all-time high. Look at that. We're about to have ourselves a new income stream, and then we're hoping this happens.
From about 1870 to 1913, it was all tariffs, and we had more money than anybody. They had committees how to spend the money. They had so much money they didn't know how to spend. Then some brilliant person said, let's go income tax. Let's let the people pay. Now, we're going to be able to substantially lower taxes when this is finished.
And then here's, this is an interesting take. This is Arthur Hayes, the creator of BitMEX, on the tariff situation.
The American financial system is so highly levered that it couldn't take 1 week of Trump's maximalist position on tariffs. And some people might say that, this tariff thing is a good thing, that America returns to a balanced budget and, brings back manufacturing jobs and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter what you think of it's good or bad, but all that matters is 1 week bond market collapsed, equity market was collapsing, and they changed their tune. And they're continuing to change their tune as sort of the volatility doesn't subside as much as they would like. So I think it's just, we're traversing along this trend. I think we've seen the market bottom, and especially Bitcoin, probably in stocks as well, as the leverage is too great. They can't go as fast as they want. Money will be printed.
That means lowering interest rates. Now, it says ignore the headlines. This is the real trade war that no one's talking about. Is it a war, or was it a planned operation for this reset transition? That's my question. What if the U.S., China, and Russia and all the big powers were working together from the get-go on all this? What if that was Bitcoin's purpose, was to give them a hedge against the uncertainties that would happen? Look at this, CME Group. Folks, this is what happens before ETFs. Starting May 19th, this is from the CME. Trade regulated, capital and efficient futures on XRP available in larger and micro-sized contracts so you can scale your exposure with greater precision and flexibility. More on XRP futures. And then Smoke puts out a very interesting point about the timing. Just days before the May 22nd deadline for the SEC to respond to Grayscale's ETF application. And then Brad Garlinghouse weighs in. While overdue in a bunch of ways, so much is overdue for Ripple and for XRP. While overdue in a bunch of ways, this is an incredibly important and exciting step in the continued growth of the XRP market. Look at this. 5 trillion asset manager Fidelity says Bitcoin supply on exchanges is dropping due to public company purchases. Folks, like Brad Garlinghouse said, I believe that in the end there's going to be scores of digital assets that are that basically suck up all the liquidity of crypto and survive. I believe XRP is one of those, probably Bitcoin, Cardano, Solana, maybe a few other. I think there'll be 15 or 20 that are at the core of the financial system. When that happens, any of these digital assets with limited supplies, right now you can get them, but I believe there's going to be a day when you can't get them, and that is kind of what the Shane Ellis theory was about back in the day. This is Eleanor Tarrett's new show, and this is Miles Jennings, who's general counsel, head of policy at A16Z.
What would you classify XRP as?
I think XRP is a network token, no doubt. Right. I think that at the end of the day, if you look at the kind of the way that we talked about the kind of distinction between a company-backed token and a network token, right? I think there were like 3 questions we looked at. Is the network open, which I think is obviously true for XRP. Is the, do the network effects accrue to token holders? I think that's true. And then, are the economics of the system embedded in it? And I think that is undeniably true as well, right? Demand for XRP stimulates the growth of that ecosystem. So I think that it pretty clearly falls within the definition of network token.
Network token. Now, earlier this week, we saw Jim Rickards come out with a video that the U.S. had $150 trillion in assets. I think he said they were hidden. It sparked some controversy. Now, today, from the Black Swan Capitalists, they put out this video. I wanted you to watch some of it. Listen to what he says here, because when I'm listening to this, I'm thinking tokenization of real-world assets, real-world commodities, gold, you name it, gold, coin, or corn, silver, anything you can think of.
It's an honor to have you with us. Glad to be with you. Now, moments before we went on air, you told me we're about to see a profound transfer of wealth, yet very few people seem to be talking about this.
Right, and there's a good reason for that. This trust fund is not a pile of money to be equally distributed to all citizens, and it's not part of a government program or handout.
It's interesting. So tell me, if it's true the government is sitting on $150 trillion, how have they kept it quiet for so long? Where's it coming from? And how can the average person profit?
Sure, I can answer those questions, starting with your first. Why all the secrecy? Decades ago, the U.S. Congress inserted a key provision in Title 30 of the U.S. Code, creating what one could call a national trust fund. You can go read the sections 22 to 42 to be exact. It's pretty dry stuff. I got my law degree from the University of Pennsylvania, one of the top schools in the nation. I promise you, we never talked about this change to the U.S. Code or this trust fund even once. It's been this big secret for years. Yet, over time, the estimated size of this fund has grown and grown to the point where its raw value sits near $150 trillion and counting.
You got to forgive me, but I'm hung up on the size of this. $150 trillion? How?
It didn't start out that way. But the nature of this trust is such that politicians haven't been able to rate it, which has allowed it to grow untouched for decades.
A number this big, it's unfathomable.
I know. Just to put it into perspective, $150 trillion is enough to pay off the national debt 4 times over. It's enough to take a 100% stake in every company listed on the NASDAQ, from NVIDIA to Google to Amazon, and buy every private home in the United States. If you divide this figure by the number of households in America, each family would get a check for $1.1 million. Now, of course, I don't expect any of this is going to happen. I'm just trying to point out the sheer magnitude of the situation. This is not some kind of government program like those COVID relief checks a few years back, but it is a chance for the average American to become richer than they ever imagined, and a chance for a few little-known companies to become household names in the years ahead.
You know, for all the talk we've heard about debt ceilings and government shutdowns, I'm surprised no one has mentioned this trust fund. The only one we hear about is Social Security, but this seems totally different.
No, this is different, very different. The government has raided the Social Security trust fund so many times, it's practically gone. Even NPR admits it could run short of cash in just 8 years. But this national trust is different. If Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Obama, or Biden tapped into it, they would have unleashed a socialist nightmare that would destroy this country. As luck would have it, they failed for one specific reason, which I'll share in a moment. The key thing to know is, for the first time in our lives, the government is set to unlock this massive asset. And it all ties to a pivotal decision made by Trump's Supreme Court.
I've got to say that this sounds great on paper, but I have so many questions.
Well, I thought you might. Take your time.
Well, assuming everything you said is true, why would the government release something that's so valuable?
Well, as it turns out, this has happened before. Back in 1862, America was a young nation, and it needed people to populate the western states. That's when President Lincoln signed the Homestead Act, instantly granting any American citizen the right to claim 160 acres of public land for just $18.
160 acres for $18? That's got to be the deal of the century.
Well, for many it was. Their $18 investment equates to around $562 today, while 160 acres of farmland is worth about $900,000.
So these people had a chance to make 1,000 times their money?
Indeed. But there was a catch. To get all this free land, they had to pack up, move to the middle of nowhere, and stay put.
Well, of course, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
No. And to be clear, this story is not about real estate. You see, despite giving away 10% of all the land in the United States, the government retained the most valuable part. For 163 years, it's held on to it. But thanks to a recent Supreme Court decision, it will soon release this vast $150 trillion asset. And just like we saw with those 160 acres of farmland, it's not the government that will profit. It's the investors that act on this opportunity.
And who may that be?
Well, I'm talking about the businesses who get a jump on this, and the regular folks who know how to take advantage. They could come out way ahead. Only in this case, you don't have to uproot your family or endure months of backbreaking labor. You don't even have to write your congressman or fill out a form. With a small investment, you could set your family up for generational.
I think he's talking about tokenizing the wealth of the United States, tokenizing minerals, maybe land, all the above. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. We're going to talk about the dark side of digital assets that I'm hoping we avoided, and we're going to talk about what the patterns are that some of these guys in the charts on XRP are starting to see. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.